We're in it.
How this works? Okay.
Well, thank you guys for being here.
I don't know if you know
Very nice to be back in Evansville. I told a few folks who came through my line today. I'll just tell the story. So.
oh, it's like we never talked, remember? Pre-interview.
From Detroit originally. So I used to, every year, I heard there was an Evansville con, and I was like, I gotta do an Evansville con.
Yeah, because you called me, right? It's like, you called me.
And then, because I used to come down through Evansville and go to Sturgis, Kentucky every year.
Shut up.
Sturgis. Because my great grandmother was in Sturgis. And then I had a cousin that was in Evansville, so we came down and ate here and then kept on going to Sturgis. So I have nice fond memories of Evansville.
Fond memories and also fond memories of fried comfort food.
Yes, there's a lot of fried comfort food, as there is in the Midwest. And it was just
He doesn't
fun.
eat anything fried now.
You know, so no, I do. It was interesting because my mother would cook like it would be cold fried chicken in like remember the white thermoses that were styrofoam? You know, remember these things? Anyway, and the older folks will. And so we're having in our little station wagon that my father was driving.
I'm picturing a Griswold situation now.
And there's 5 kids, and so we're eating the fried chicken. And then there was more chicken and fried chicken to eat in Evansville, so it was just a lot of fried food as a young 8 or 9-year-old child.
And then we fast forward
Yes.
a little bit. So we want to talk a little bit about how you got involved with Arrow. Maybe you don't know the story. I know we have some super fans out here.
Any
Yes.
fans? Yeah.
Yes. Did you know that he did not have to audition for his role as John Diggle?
Wow.
Huh? Did not. Just like, here you go.
Yeah, there was it was a little bit like that because it was the guy who created the show, Great Blank. He and his father used to watch a show called Blue Bloods, which is still on, and shout out to Tom. Sound like another Detroit movie. So he used to watch that show and said, "That's our John Diggle," he and his father. And they called me and said, "Hey, this character doesn't have much to do with the pilot, but he becomes Oliver Flame's right-hand guy, and would you like to do it?" And I read the pilot, and the Arrow pilot was like no other pilot I had seen. Right? It was, the lead guy was murdering people. It was like Dexter. So,
Vigilante, if you will.
yeah.
Murder. It was, you know,
Oh,
he was
he
getting
kinda-
rid of bad people.
But yeah, they're all bad.
Yeah.
But it was a fun pilot, and yeah, the rest is history.
Well, I just recently watched the pilot. Shame or applaud, I don't know. But you did have kind of a major role in that first episode, as in kind of see the relationship begin between the two of you.
You do. I'm still
I
trying.
can't get over the seat. I know.
The seat's a lot.
I was wondering. Please.
I just gotta see how this looks on camera. It looks great. Anyway, yeah, he has a lot to do with the pilot. There's a lot of presence and a lot of gravitas that Diggle brings, and so it's the presence more than anything else. But it was just a fun show. We were talking about it. It was who knew that it would spawn for 10 years and all these other spin-offs. So it was just magical. Really.
I mean, you could really tell the chemistry between you, the cast, the entire cast. You know, and then something like that where they bring in new people every few seasons. Is there any weirdness, or was it just like business?
You know, it's funny. Everyone that came on the show, Manu Burnett, John Barrowman, give me a break. It was great. Like everyone just fit right in. So every spinoff. You know what's funny? Arrow. Talk about the Flash. If this was the stage where you're shooting Arrow, then Flash would literally be on the other side of that wall. Like they were that close to us. We shared a stage, but we never saw each other.
That's crazy.
We never saw the cast of Flash until the crossovers. So the crossovers is when all the cast would see each other because we're all in Vancouver, but we worked literally 10, 12, literally 14-hour days. So the weekend, no one saw each other because we're tired, and then we go back to work on Monday. So the crossovers is when everyone saw each other. And it was like literally just talking and laughing, just catching up, and it was like, okay, can we work now?
So there wasn't really like an ego struggle. You got stars of other major shows coming together. There wasn't like, well, I'm gonna need a higher chair.
I know. Can't get behind much higher than that. But no, there really wasn't much ego like that. It was. Well, first of all, everyone was from no one was from Vancouver. I think Emily may have been from the one who played Felicity. But aside from that, everyone was from someplace else. So it was, there's that, right? That no one was really home. I think that was some part of the dynamic of just kind of being in the same place and that no one really knew. I think that was the first part. And the second part, I think everyone was just, we realized how fortunate we were. I think everyone got that. Because it was Arrow and then Flash and then Legends and Supergirl and then Black Lightning and there was nothing like that. There was nothing like that on television that had all these kind of connected, cohesive universe. So I think there's a picture that's on my table of me speaking to Emily. And that was at San Diego Comic-Con. I remember that picture being taken. And the picture was in season 2, so it was 2013. And I remember right before that picture, it was Stephen Haddison, the two of us in a huddle. And he was like, wow, man, we're really lucky. I'm like, yeah, we're really lucky. And then someone was like, hey guys, can you pose? And we kind of turned, and that was the picture.
That's awesome.
So that sentiment of just realizing how fortunate we all were, that kind of permeated all the shows. So getting back to the question, were there egos? I mean, no, they just weren't, because I think everyone felt very fortunate.
And then getting back to the shows, so of course, it ended. Everything's kind of superhero-ish ending on the CW, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But what were their plans to continue you in a different type of Was there a strike that happened and maybe now it's over?
Yeah, there's that. But there's more of that story. Want to hear it?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, we only teased Green Lantern for 6 years.
Right.
Yeah, we only teased. Wasn't that long. But there were serious plans that John Diggle's mythos became John Stewart's mythos. We even brought in Ernie Hudson, who was Colonel Stewart, who was John Diggle's father, whose name he didn't take. There was a crossover where we had a Flash from another universe that recognized John Diggle as Green Lantern. And
no one is blinking right now. Everybody's
and from season 4 on, it was like every time we saw Diggle, it was like on a green background. Just hint, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there were real plans for this, but things happen, and I think it was a number of things. I think CW, the network, became something else, someone else.
companies and whatnot,
So there's that, and then I think DC went through some regime changes, and between that world, and then 2019, there were some changes with the show. So I think all that stuff just kind of led to, and it wasn't just John Diggle's story. There were the Canaries. That was a spinoff that didn't quite work for the same reasons. So yeah, we all had plans,
Plans. So are they
make God laugh? Is that the story?
Are they done? Is it this?
Girl, I don't know.
Can't you make it? Let's make it
Everything
happen.
wrong. I don't know.
So anyways, what you're doing,
I don't
want to make you cry.
No, I know, because the Lantern story was gonna be pretty. So, look, John Diggle eventually, and what was cool about that too, because they were like, well, John Diggle won't become Lantern in this world. So they wrote something in the Flash crossover where he had the ring and he denied the calling of the ring. But then he continued his mythos of Superman and Lois. Superman and Lois is in his last season. So is there a chance? Slim, but perhaps.
Well, you just never know. I mean, it's some Arrowverse-ish type thing.
Yes. Mr. Gunn and Mr. Safran have the reins now at DC, so we'll see. We'll see what happens with all that.
We'll drop him a line.
Yes.
Well, an X.
You know who to call.
Whatever.
You know who to call.
So, talking about the relationship between you and the cast, I know a lot of you sometimes do cons together.
Yeah.
Is there a favorite moment from one of these recently since the show is finished?
Yeah. Now, do you guys know who John Barrowman is? Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's all you gotta say, because it's funny too, because we would do, like I said, 10, 12, 14 hours in a location. So when you're working that long, day after day in one location, then some of the most asinine things become highbrow comedy. Right? And I mean, we're talking about fart jokes. I mean, just the dumbest things that John Barrowman was really good at. And so, it wasn't so much cons, because, the cons come and we're kind of talking and, we just kind of cackle. But it was really on the set that John Barrowman would just,
John isn't an inhibitor.
that is a great word for John Barrowman. and it was just comedy all the time. So, yeah, anytime John Barrowman was on set, it was a treat.
So on set, stunts,
Mm-hmm.
any injuries?
Yeah, it's funny because me and Steven were doing a lot of our own fighting.
No big deal, because he's a martial artist and whatnot.
Yeah, that's a little joke, but it's true. But we were doing a lot of fighting and we never got injured. I got injured in 2015. It was a back injury from lifting my son. and it put me out of work on the show for like 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Steven got injured in the show. He never got injured in any of the fights. But there's one of the episodes he's training, and one of the CrossFit or MMA training sequences is you take a big tractor tire and you squat and pick it up and squat, pick it up. And then you take a sledgehammer and you hit the tire, right? Simple stuff. So he picked it up, not a problem. Picked the sledgehammer, threw his back up.
Sometimes when I get up, it's just go back to bed.
Yeah, it's like, it's crazy because all the fighting and stuff that he did, no injury, all the fighting, no injury. There was a stunt match. It's interesting. It's a stunts on Arrow. It's crazy. Blue Bloods got nominated and won for stunts and Arrow didn't. How did that happen?
How was that thing?
As much as I love Blue Bloods, I mean, you see the stunts on Arrow? Anyway, I'm good. So, there was, a high rise, a freeway high rise, it's about 30 feet, maybe-ish. And anytime you see someone, there's an explosion, and someone is yanked from the explosion, that's called a pull, right? And there's you probably already know this, but for everyone who doesn't, it's called a pull. And there's a little apparatus, and they strap it on, and they yank you and all this. It's the same way it works if you jumps and the counterweight catches you, but it looks like you're falling. They speed up the film so it looks like you're actually falling. Okay, that's the way it is.
That's what we
So
want to hear. We want to know.
you want to know how they can happen, right? All the smoke and mirrors. So there's a scene where Diggle jumps off of a freeway overpass, and there's a car and does a flip and pow pow. Right? Okay. So I don't do that. My stunt guy does that. I do the martial arts. He does the stunts. So Marshall Bingham, fantastic stunt guy, jumps off of the thing, the truck's down there, pulley snaps, falls 30 feet. Sitting right there, and you hear the connection to the cement, right? Just that nasty wet crunch sound, right? And he rolls and just lays down. Everybody runs over, right? He's like, "Don't touch me, I'm just figuring it out." He just lays there, we're just like, dude. I'm good. And he gets up, and he's like, he has a little bit, he's like, I think something's going on with my ankle. That's how he talks. I think there's something going on with my ankle, dude. They bring over, because there's always 911 on the set, ambulance on the set. Bring over somebody, I think I'm all right. He's like, no, just get in the truck. Take him in, sprained ankle. Barely sprained. Like a little
I
swell.
fell down my stairs last week and I could barely walk. So.
And on these jumps, like, so it was more than 30, right? Because he jumps, so now he's what, 35 or 34 feet or whatever it is. Falls, pop, and just rolls, and it's like, yeah, I'm good. So the stunt guys, I mean, shout out to all the stunt guys on all these shows. It's crazy what they do.
Behind the scenes, and now you've been behind the camera as well,
Yeah.
directing. Do you prefer in front, behind?
I've been bit by that directing bug. It's
I like to tell people what to do.
There's that.
Right?
There's a little bit of that. But my first thing would be not this chair anymore.
I know, right? I don't lose track of it.
It was directing's fun. I think part of it was that you do a character for so long, you kind of sink into the character, and you're trying to find new things in the character. It's kind of tough. But then when the opportunity to direct came, it was new. And even though you appreciate all these different departments, you get to kind of see the genius of visual effects, what they're really doing. Like you're sitting down watching them put this stuff together, making Superman fly. It's like, wow. So it's or watching Legends of Tomorrow and they're making Rome come to life, right? Or whatever they're doing. So I think just it was the appreciation of all the genius that goes on behind the scenes that you appreciate as an actor, but you don't really see it. It's all set up as an actor, right? You kind of show up on the day and your wardrobe's ready, everyone's ready, everything's prepared for the actor. So as an actor, that department has its own challenges, don't get me wrong, but to kind of sit in prep, because when a director's in prep, they're not working, particularly in episodic directing, they're not working with the actors, they're working with every department except the acting department. So for that 8 days, 10 days, whatever it is, prep, you're working with all these departments and you come in with a vision and say, I kind of want to do this, and then they just start riffing and they go, yeah, you want to do that? How about this? How about this? How we can do this? And you just go, wow. So, I love directing because I think it's opened up my understanding of all these other parts that go into it and the genius that goes into these other parts.
And then what about directing some of your actor friends?
Yeah.
Is that like awkward, like, okay, let's do that again, but this time?
Yeah, they're terrible. No, you know something? It's funny because
you have that weird friend relationship, and then you're like, but also now I'm your boss, kind of.
You do, and most times, the thing about actors and directors is actors just have to trust you. If they trust you, then they'll go wherever the director says go. There was one time there was a particular actor on Superman, I won't say the name, and I said,
rhymes with.
I know, right, exactly. And I said, look, this is what's happening in the scene. So I need you just ran up 24 flights of stairs. So I need you to be out of breath. And they
So
said,
watch for that episode.
and they said, so should I like be just panting? And I said, well, that's a choice. If you want to, but it was a little sarcastic. Like, what should I do? So I just let it go and do it, and it was fine. And I said, kind of leaned into that exhaustion thing, and did it again, and that was it. So the episode aired, and it was really good. So the actor came up to me and said, I didn't trust you when you said to do that, and you're right. So I went back to the show 4 more times, and of course, every time I say something to the actor now, they're like, yeah.
You kind of know what you're doing.
So but sometimes you have that. But I know a lot of times, and I was one too. I felt the same way. Sometimes, as an actor, you look at other actors that have and you hear about these horror fits that actors have, right? And you call them prima donnas or whatever.
I only eat grape M&Ms, okay?
And you hear about this stuff, and it's like, and there's some of that, right? You have some of that, but you know, and I was really critical of that as an actor because I'll see actors that didn't really happen on shows we're talking about, like what other shows it has, and I was on some of those shows, and there'll be actors and they'll literally like be in their trailer, I'm not gonna do this, and I was the actor like, oh, man, get over yourself, right? Like, whatever. Being a director made me understand that a little more. And because the camera, and I realized it, I knew it as an actor, but when a director, I really got it. The camera sees everything. It sees everything. And you cannot lie, right? When you're watching an actor and they leave, they start thinking about their dog, right? Or they start thinking about cooking or thinking about going home, you see it. You see it. Because they left, right? So you have to do another take and be like, you know. So, and the really good actors know that. They know that they can't lie. So they might be dealing with something else and they're blaming it on the costume's not right or this isn't right. So there's a lot of psychology going on with that. So now, when as a director, when the actor's going through something, I'm a lot more sensitive about it. As before, when I was an actor, I was like, dude, it's not hard for me, it should be hard for you, right? Just get over yourself, right? But not all actors can just. Mike C. Hall was really good at that. We'll be able to be talking like this, and all of a sudden, action, and he's Dexter. Just all of a sudden, he can just flip. Not all actors can do that. Some actors need, like Manu Burnett, who played Dexter on Arrow. He's a method actor. So before the camp, like if he's exhausted, he'll literally run around the set 4 times. He's like, all right, look, he's sweating. Now the makeup's like, he's sweating now. He's like, but I gotta be sweating, right? Because that's his thing. So, and when I was an actor, I was just like, dude, like, just act like you're sweating. Right? I just pretend. Just use your imagination.
They'll fix it in post. It's fine.
But it's weird because after all these years as an actor, when those things would irritate me, seeing other actors do some of that stuff, because I would just get there, like maybe Mike and all. Not every actor can do that, and they don't want to lie. They don't want the director to see they're not really they're gone, right? Because they know they'll be caught and they see it as fraudulent. And they don't
It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. So as a director, I got it because now I'm looking through the lens and I can see it. I see exactly when the actor leaves and then we'll do it again.
So of course we haven't seen the episodes yet, the last season of Superman and Lois.
Yeah.
Have you directed any? Are you?
No, they haven't even started shooting yet because the strike just ended. So everyone's now starting to go back to work.
Any plans for that?
Yeah, there are plans. It's that show specifically. Unfortunately, there'll be a lot of changes.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people. They weren't.
Oh, you heard about it? Okay, yeah, so I can say it.
Yeah.
So yeah, unfortunately, just the Kent family and Luthor will be ready.
First of all, what did you think of that casting?
Oh, I thought it was incredible.
Okay.
I thought it was fun. Oh, you did? You did like it? Because of Michael. How do you place Rosamund? How do you? Well, Rosamund.
No, but I just didn't think that he was. I just didn't.
You didn't believe it?
He was so
Brutish.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
A little more gruff than. I feel like Lex is a little more sophisticated than that.
Yeah, you know, I hear you.
Why was he walking forever? Get a ride. I don't know. There's a whole thing.
Yeah.
I could go on and on.
There's a Luthor is an interesting character, right? Because I mean, you think back on Christopher Reeves in the 70th version and that whole Richard Donner directed and who was Christopher Reeves? So you bring in Marlon Brando, the heavy, bring in the heavy, and they surround this kind of newcomer Christopher Reeves, and then it's an interesting take because, and I know people who were like Tyler Hoffman playing,
But now we see it and we're like,
but now you see it, and it's scruffy, and it's I don't think you can. I hear you. It's tough. What do you think about the new casting? This is my interview now. What do you think about the new Superman casting and where they're going with that?
well, I mean, I've seen before pictures and some current pictures, and
Yeah.
I feel like he's been working out.
Yeah.
Does that count?
Yeah.
I don't know how he is as an actor. I've never seen him in anything.
Henry Cavill, those are tough shoes to fill.
I mean, my husband's like, I don't know if I can watch another Superman. Because
After
Henry
Henry?
Cavill is his, yeah, that's his Superman. But everybody has their own, and so we have, a next generation. You got to change things up, and I trust James Gunn.
Yeah. Well, look. So do I. And I think you have to let that. You have to wait and see what all comes of that. It's not going to happen, I don't think. But there were rumblings, and maybe it was just within the camp I was in. Obviously, there have been other choices, but there were rumblings of the new Superman and the Lex Luthor. That there were, and I don't know if this is true for everyone recording. I have no idea if this is true or not. But there were just rumblings of Denzel playing Lex.
Wow. Yes.
How good would that have been? You know what I mean?
What if it was you?
Yeah, but how? I mean, but I think about like, the shaved head, the cerebral, the mood, that. And the reason why I bring that up because you think about Christopher Reeves and who Gene Hackman was at the time when Christopher Reeves played. So you think of who this actor is with Denzel playing. You think of that makes sense. But again, even without that, I'm curious to see what happens with this. Superman's a great character. It's the thing about Superman is that it's always going to be somewhat polarizing because everyone has their vision of Superman and who Lex is and who Lois is and who Lana is and who Jimmy is. Just everyone has a vision of it.
And we didn't have a lot of movies to pick from this past year because of the strike and everything.
Yeah.
But we did see The Flash.
Mm-hmm.
What did we think of The Flash?
Oh Lord Jesus, you gonna ask me
Just yell it
that?
out.
You know something?
Was there good parts, bad parts?
I liked it.
Did it make you cry?
Oh, that scene with his
Come
mother.
on, it made come on.
Yeah.
You don't have a soul if you
You don't
don't
have
cry
to
a
like the
little.
actor to like it.
Yeah, you had to put the actor aside, right, just to watch it and focus on it. But
If Michael Keaton hadn't been in it, I would have liked it a lot less. I
Right.
loved Michael Keaton in it,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
that's what saved it for me was Michael Keaton.
Mm-hmm.
A little off subject, but you played Zach Reeves in one of your shows. What do you think about that TV show?
I love the fact that we're just gonna walk right by the Flash. Very nice.
I know, right?
I'm gonna pitch you for that later.
I was leading you to a rant, but that's
Okay,
fine. Go ahead.
Oh, the great. Oh, wouldn't it? Well, yeah, because that would be. We'll see. The movie version of Grant as Flash. That'd be nice. Grant Gustin hearing this, that'd be great. You know what's funny is that it's just interesting, and what's funny. This is what's interesting. James Gunn has the DC universe, and it's freaking awesome. Can't wait to see everything that he does. Let's just say that. And that's the truth. But back in 2012 and 2013 and 2014, in the, again, going back to the 10, 12-hour days, we'll be sitting around talking and working, and we were everyone on the set was like, wouldn't that be great if, like Marvel, the people in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., when they said Thor, they were talking about
The actual
that
movie.
Thor,
Mhm.
right? When they said the Hulk or Iron Man, they were talking about that Thor,
Mhm.
that Iron Man, that Hulk, because the universes were connected, right? So we were always like, wouldn't it be great if Grant was playing that version of the Flash and Steven was playing that version of the Green Arrow that had this kind of cohesive cinematic universe that connected to the television universe and blah, blah, blah.
And there was a Green Lantern.
And there was a Green Lantern. Exactly. And we yearned for it, but and it never happened within our world. And when Arrow left, obviously Gunn decided to take over, and now that's exactly what's happening, right? That their whole world is cohesive. So I'm really kind of, as a fan, because I'm a fan of this stuff, I'm really curious and looking forward to how they connect all the universes and what's going to happen.
You mean like an Arrowverse
But
before the multiverse?
a gun verse that connects all of this stuff. I'm excited about that. Because like I said, I'm a fan of it. So it's going to be, and I guess I would imagine that would, and I don't know this again. Everyone was swear. I don't know this for sure. I would imagine that cinematic movie verse would be connected with kind of what's happening in Disney or Max or whatever.
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus. So I would imagine that's the connective tissue. I don't know exactly how they're going to do it, but
Didn't they do something like that already, when they had the Flash on the Flash?
exactly. Well, there was in our crossover, we had the Flash on the Flash, the movie version of Flash. So we all already touched on some of it. But now we make there's room for the new. We'll see what they do.
So in your dream world, if you
Yeah.
had any superhero movie that you were the star of, what is it? And it can be DC or Marvel or anything. It doesn't have to be anything. Are you,
It's gonna
do you
be-
prefer a regular costume or a cape or
Oh,
superpowers
I have
or
to
weapons?
really stretch for this.
I mean,
I have to really pull it out of my thinking cap. I mean, it's obviously Lantern, but you know something? I really like Darkseid. I really, really, really like Darkseid, and I wanna know what that character, what's his deal? Characters like he and Galactus, these OP characters, what's that deal? Where did it happen? Particularly Galactus, because Galactus had some stuff going on. He was a human, I think, before, so it's or at least he was a humanoid of some sort. And so what was that story? That intrigues me. It always intrigues me, the other characters. I was always interested in Oliver Queen and Bruce Wayne more so than Arrow and Batman. Just to me, right? What happened with Oliver Queen and Bruce Wayne met, right? And they didn't know. So there's a little riff, and there was a little fight. They both found out they were both trained from the League of Assassins. Who are you? So that to me is intriguing. So just who the characters are, who is Darkseid? Who is Galactus? What's that about? So that stuff is very interesting. Jean Grey right before she was seduced by the Phoenix Force. That stuff is kind of interesting. Right?
so growing up, favorite superhero?
I'm a geek. I had a few of them. I grew up on Lou Ferrigno and Bill Bixby.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
He
come on.
always likes green. What's
I know, it's a whole thing. I grew up on them. So it was, and it was kind of, seeing Bill Bixby. Remember, if anybody knew anything, when the show came on, okay, and he was changing the jack, and he had his car jacked up, and then the jack kind of fell, and his eyes turned gray. And I was transfixed watching this on television. So Spider-Man was my favorite. So the Hulk. It was obviously the Hulk was my favorite character.
So can I assume you're a fan of King of Queens?
King, I'm sorry, what?
King of Queens.
Oh yes, the show.
I've switched.
Yes. King of Queens.
I mean, because Lou Ferrigno in
Yes.
King of Queens,
Yes.
and it's just funny to see him on that.
It's funny about Lou, because Lou does some of the cons. He's huge now. He's a big guy. He just hasn't lost it. So I was a big Lou Ferrigno fan.
But you've met him?
Yeah, I met him. Obviously, I met him as through the cons. So I never worked with him, but I met him through the cons. Never met the late great Bill Bixby, but I met him.
Is that your biggest celebrity? Oh my gosh, is there a bucket list that you need to Who are you going to fan geek over?
I just met two folks that I fan geeked over. I met Mike Tyson, who was at one of the cons, and then I met Richard Dreyfuss, right? And he did a con. I didn't expect to see him at a con, and that was really kind of cool. Just sitting down and I talked to Richard Dreyfuss 40 minutes. And he was just telling me these stories, and I was just like, wow. So the con circuit is kind of cool because, I haven't, you know what I haven't done yet? I haven't met anyone that I wanted to stay a fan because I was disappointed. You ever meet somebody that's like, oh, I'm
yeah,
a fan of
totally
them,
your
and then you
heroes,
meet
right?
them, you meet your hero, and it's like, oh, you're not as nice as I thought you were. That hasn't happened yet, so that's cool. But it's great.
I also love that you have a cameo. Not like a cameo, but like a cameo
Yeah.
account.
Oh yeah.
And you'll send people inspirational,
Yeah.
pump them up videos.
Yeah. No,
I
I love
watched a
doing
few
that.
before this, so I'm like,
No, I love doing that. I love doing that. The people call and I have a lot of respect and admiration for fans. Because I'm a fan. Like I said, I was a geek. I'm still a geek. So when I meet people I'm a fan of, I really hope that they're, they can't be everything that I think they will be because, but I really hope they're nice at least. So when anyone reaches out, I want to be able to connect with them on the human level.
that's why we're here, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know what time it is or how long we have.
We have as long as you want to. Are there any questions out there? Anybody have any oh yeah. Okay.
I'll walk
yes.
around with the microphone if I need to.
Sure, why
I
not?
think I can.
Yeah, you can do that. I'll stay right here.
You stay there,
I'll stay
go
here.
out here.
All right, got it.
I asked a question about Bass Reeves earlier. You played Bass Reeves. Did you enjoy playing more on, say, Legends of Tomorrow? I heard that was a really fun show to play. And it was like more serious. Lois, Superman and Arrow was kind of serious.
Yeah.
So you had more fun playing on Legends of Tomorrow, Bass Reeves, and that character in that area, and directing it too.
Yeah. What was interesting about Bass Reeves, like was just said, I directed all these shows. Every time you direct a show, the showrunner tells you, okay, listen, this is how we do the show. This is the tone of our show. And you might have suggestions, say, oh no, we don't do that. This is what we do on this show. Okay. Legends of Tomorrow, they had none of that. They're like, whatever you want to do, just go for it, right? So it was what was interesting about Legends was that I didn't watch Legends before I directed it. And when I got the assignment to direct Legends, I watched it. And I'm like, what a really fun show. Like 1 week they're, in Hawaii, the next they're in the 15th century wherever, and the next time they're in parts of Africa. They're every place. So it's a set designer, wardrobe designer's dream, because they get to kind of make up all this stuff. So Legends of Tomorrow was probably the funnest show that I got to direct of all the shows. And what was also good, and Arrow obviously is dark, it's green and black, and you go over to the Flash, literally on the other side of the wall, and it's a party. Like everything's bright and everything. So every show had its own personality, but Legends for sure was probably the most fun. Yeah.
Another question?
I'm not sure we need the microphone. I'll
Well,
use it for
everyone
my-
wants to hear you.
Okay, good point. First off, thank you for saying Luthor.
Luthor.
Nobody really does that. It's always Luther in all the shows.
Oh, is that right?
All the shows.
It's
It's a rarity when anybody says Luthor.
it's spelled Luthor, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
So you can make a good argument.
Oh.
But that's not really my question.
Yeah.
Because it's not a question at all. In the first season of Arrow,
Mhm.
Oliver is obviously a killer.
Obviously.
And then there was a severe shift, I think, with the beginning of the second season, you failed this city and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Did DC Comics come in? Are you aware? I've never really heard of the impetus for that change where Oliver is no longer a killer.
That's a good question. There could have been some executive decision for this. But from my understanding, the writing was always going to go to a place where Oliver Queen found his humanity. And part of that was it was obviously 5 years was going into the show because it was 5 years he spent on time. So part of the idea was that the flashbacks showed how he lost his humanity and coming back back to society showed how he would regain his and become a hero. So there was always that. Was that an executive Warner Brothers decision? I don't know. But I can say that was always part of it, because when I came on the show, that was part of the pitch, was that John Diggle would help along that journey. So again, he said, hey, you don't have much to do in the pilot, but you become his right-hand guy and you're part of his journey to regain his humanity. So I do know that was part of the writers already had that in mind. Was that part of the impetus of getting it on the show, on the air in the first place, that they would have to show to make that journey? I don't know. But it was from the very beginning. I do know. Good question.
Winning first, he kept losing.
Say again?
He kept losing. Every episode, he's like, where'd he go?
Yeah. Well, and I think that was part of. Obviously, we made a joke out of that, but I think that was part and parcel with. Does he accept the offer that Diggle and Felicity brought, which was, how do you embrace your humanity? How do you become a hero in this universe?
So, with God,
You gotta speak into it.
That's not down my throat. So, with directing and acting and all these projects and whatnot, besides very much wanting to do a Green Lantern project,
Yep.
is there any, and it doesn't even have to be superhero or anything, like a project you would love to grab a hold of, maybe a reboot or some passionate, independent concept you got?
Yeah, that's another good question. I can say positively that there's nothing high on my list where I say, I want to tackle said genre or said character. What I am interested in, and Michael Douglas said this in an interview one time. He said the hardest characters to play are the characters that are close to you. Like it's just a regular person dealing with things that are extraordinary, right? Dealing with a job and a marriage that's failing, or dealing with things that we can all relate to without a comet falling from the sky or having some sort of superpower. And I found that those are, that kind of playing these characters that you might consider normal, whatever that is, dealing with kind of regular life. The more I play superheroes, the more I'm drawn to those elements of them, because that's, strip away the powers, that's who they are, regular folks dealing with stuff. So the more I'm in the superhero world, the more I want to play kind of regular characters dealing with stuff that we all deal with in whatever ways they deal with it. And those are the scripts that I'm drawn to, right? So there probably isn't, somebody might say, oh, I want to do something like Stranger Things, or I want to do something like this or whatever. There's nothing like that. I'm more, but I can say that I'm drawn to scripts that deal with regular folks. Regular folks.
What about regular horrific folks, or a horror film you're working on?
Yeah, something. I'm working. I can't talk much about it now. I'm working on a little horror movie. It's funny too. I never thought I would be drawn to horror. There's a horror con here that I just heard
Really?
about.
You don't say.
Yeah.
When is that?
It's
It's coming up.
I heard. Is it coming? No. Is it coming up? It just left.
It just left and it's coming back.
It's coming back. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I heard it was incredible. I never thought I'd be drawn to that genre, even though I did Dexter. I never thought, but the more and more I kind of look into that genre, the more it's like, wow, I really like it. So there's a little horror movie I'm working on, but you'll hear more about that. Yeah.
So you spent a while talking about how you can tell when actors kind of check out, but how a lot of them are very dedicated and be true and be there. And I just wondered who your favorite scene partner might have been, and a favorite scene that you might have done with them over the course of your career as an actor.
Yeah, the obvious answer would be Steven, because I worked with him the most. But you know something? I have to say Sonic. Oddly enough, people might go like, what? Really? there's some stuff. Blue Bloods it's going to its 15th season, and it's because of Donnie Wahlberg and Tom Selleck. It is. It's because of those two guys. And it can go for 20 years. If those two want to go, it can go for that long. It pulls in an audience at 10 o'clock on a Friday that plugs into those two movies. And there's nothing, at that dinner table, there's nothing like it on television, right? We have these representation of these ideas and these different kind of thoughts, and Tom's kind of sitting at the head of it. But I was, at the time I was on that show, he was playing a conservative police commissioner to my liberal mayor, right? And the dynamic is that the commissioner works at the service of the mayor, right? So I could have fired him. Of course, it's never happened. But Tom did a couple of things. Number one, it would be easy for him as an actor to try to overshadow that the power play, right? Because it's his show. He never did that. And in fact, he fought not to do it, right? So when the script was wrong, he corrected it. That's number one. And then number two, Tom was an imposing guy, 6'5", and even
The
now.
mustache, I mean.
The mustache, 250 pounds, big guy. And there was always kind of this thing where you always understood that he was the commissioner and I was the mayor of the show. And Dylan, Nick Tuck, Dylan plays, he's living like me right now. Oddly enough, he's on Superman and Lois, playing Lois's father on the show, and he's the new. He became the mayor on Blue Bloods as well when I left, oddly enough. But anyway, he had the same sentiment, which is that Tom, as an actor, we just understood the dynamic that was on the screen, and he always fought to make that right. So I would probably, and there are other reasons. The other reason would be just watching him do his work, right, as an actor. You just respect it. So the scenes we had, this older commissioner playing against a younger mayor, but the younger mayor is his boss, and the older commissioner is the lead of the show. And so there's a lot of things you can get wrong in that dynamic, but it was all right, and that's in no small part because of what Tom and sister. So obviously sucked for sure.
So I guess that really made it difficult. Should have made it a difficult decision for you to want to leave to go to Arrow.
What was funny about that was that I didn't, because I was doing Blue Bloods, which was shot in Brooklyn, and Arrow, which was shot in Vancouver at the same time. So I was first doing Blue Bloods, saw me in Arrow, he hired me in Arrow. I was shooting that, and he said, I really want you to continue doing Blue Bloods. So I would literally go back and forth. So that was the world. So, and one world's a superhero over here, and it's, handicapped mayor in New York. So it was great. It was a great role.
No sleep, you don't need that?
No, there are times I was doing the show. I would fly in, and another thing about Tom, like we would do all of our scenes on the day I came, right? So I didn't have a week to do it here because this is my main gig in Vancouver. So I would come to New York and shoot all my scenes in one day. So they made sure that I did all. So there are literally times I'm sitting at the desk as the mayor, and and I'm doing this.
Action.
Right. So that was tough, man. But Tom made it great. So yeah, shout out to Tom Sager. Yeah, he was great at football.
In the Arrow episodes, is that really you crushing the salmon ladder? And do you incorporate that in your current workout routine?
Yes and no.
What is your current workout routine?
Not the salmon ladder. You know, oddly enough, the salmon ladder is more technique than it is actual raw strength. So the technique is, once you get the technique of the salmon ladder, not to say it's easy, but it's not as difficult as a lot of people think it is once you understand the technique. So, but now I'm an old school workout guy. So there's a lot of like CrossFit. Now, so there's, you know, I 3 or 4 days is a regular split. It's chest, tris. The next day is back, biceps. Next day is legs, shoulders. I mean, that's the way they've been doing it since the '60s. So I'm that guy. So it's really, I found the system. I stick with it, and there's cardio, a little bit of cardio, light cardio every time I work out. So it's really simple, really simple.
Was there a specific diet or any regimen on during the Arrow?
Yeah. During Arrow, yes. For the first 2 seasons, yes. But then we couldn't keep that up. No, there was like a gluten-free diet first couple of seasons, and then me and Steven, it was funny too. Me and Steven were like, we should just stay like a week to a week and a half away from being camera ready. So as you see the show progress, there was less shirts taken off. So. And we set amongst ourselves, and we made sure the writers knew that if you know an episode we're gonna take our shirt off, let us know like 2 weeks before. So we can because it was tough. It was really hard keeping that up. First 2 seasons we did, after that, it was like, just let us know and we'll get ready. It was impossible. And at the time there was another show, True Blood, the vampire show, the True Blood? Yeah. They had a whole trailer of, like, that was a dedicated gym for them. We didn't have that.
You had tires to push over.
We had tires.
Pull your back
Snake
up.
shakers.
The costume was you had like you had that helmet.
Yeah, the helmet went through a couple of iterations. We had to get that right. The costumes were soup, man. We get out of the costumes. It was just soup. We were just wet. It was just wet every time we got out of the suit. It was all leather. If it looked like leather, it was. And it was hot. It was hot.
I thought about like where you can see left and right. Yours it looked like yours was like a little straight.
Yeah, the first one was. The second iteration was better, but the first one was like a magneto helmet, right? You couldn't see. But we got that right in the second iteration.
Have you been to a con where there was someone dressed as you?
Yeah.
Did you critique them? Were you like, actually? Or was their costume going
The costume was actually, one was actually better. But no, I did. You know something? I did take the helmet when they showed me.
Oh, yours. You didn't take the costume.
No, I didn't. I took my own helmet. I took probably the Warner Brothers. It's on camera. I don't care. But I took that. I think Steven took a bow or something. But yeah.
It has your DNA on it.
Kind of.
You sweated it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. So we took it. Some of the perks.
Any other questions?
Yeah, how do you random? You like directing more than acting or acting more than directing? You ever give a straight answer? You kind of like, oh, well, I did this on this show.
Yeah.
Which one pays more? Is that a factor in your answer?
What's interesting is it would depend. Obviously, acting for me because I've done it longer, so you kind of build up. Now the roles are offered, so they pay more. If I was directing as long as acting, I'd go into acting and directing. It's just kind of the way it works. But I would say that directing. They're running. It sounds, it's tough to answer that because if the right script came, and then getting back to your question, if the right script came where you're dealing with these human elements that really turn me on, then acting, right? If the directing script came where you're dealing with the same thing, then directing. But if I just had to pick one at this point in my life. it's just, it's,
Let's work out.
you don't have to work out, that's true. You don't have to work out. Directing's tough when it comes to that, because there's a craft service table.
Right next to it. You got the big director's chair.
Yes, and then right next to it, you got all these pastries. It's tough. But right now, we'll probably be directing. But again, if the right role came, it'll be acting.
What about producing? You hear actors all the time that go, oh wow, so-and-so produced this, but also so-and-so, and so-and-so.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Well, first of all, if you look at the credits, when the credits roll, it's like executive producer, line producer, creative producer. There's like 1,000 different producers, right? So a producer can do a lot of different things. Sometimes when you see an actor attached to a project that's producing, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes it's because they want to be a producer, but they really weren't producing, but the project, they're the headliner, so they can get another check as producing. So they do, sometimes there's that. And there's other times when actors are actually producing, and that would mean what, again, going back to Sutton, what he would do, which would, hey, this is the script, let's do this, let's keep this tone, even though he's not producing. That's part of what an actor producer would do. So it's not the same thing for every actor that produces, but that should be the idea, that an actor that's producing is actually producing, and much of that would include making sure the integrity of the script stays intact. Yeah.
You want to guest star on Hills?
Hills?
You want to guest star on it?
You know what happened to Hills, right? Hills is gone. You talking about the wrestling show Hills?
That's the second season?
No, Hills is unfortunately, that's Steven's show, Hills, you know, yeah. Unfortunately, Hills is in his last season. Yeah. I wouldn't mind. It's funny too, because I talked to the producers about directing that episode of that show. I wouldn't mind doing that. But no, man, I'm not jumping off of the turnbuckle.
You got big forward downstairs.
Nah, I know, right? I did. I'm not jumping off the turnbuckle. But I wouldn't have mind directing that show.
So are you actively seeking out any parts right now, or
Yeah,
just dealing with your course?
Yeah, there's some things coming in post strike that have kind of come in, and as always, you kind of vet those things and see what's right. But again, going back to the question of acting directing, there's been some episodic stuff coming with directing I can't really get a hold of. So I think that's probably going to be the first thing out, and then we'll see what happens.
Movie or TV?
Television for now, but there's some future stuff that could be happening. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I sound kind of whimsical about it a little bit because the strike ended, but we're still kind of trickling to find out what's next. So I think the first of the year, a lot of these questions will be answered.
Actually, downstairs, don't you think that they should have had more of these shows go to HBO Max instead of just canceling them?
Oh, you're talking about the Supergirl show?
All of them, yeah, everyone.
Yeah, I would say yes or no to that. Some of it, Arrow did 8 years. That's a lot of time. Flash did 9 seasons. That's it. And to think about now, if those shows did 5 or 10 episodes per season, then I would say yes. But we did 22 shows a season.
Plus, when you switch, who's making it and stuff, you don't know if the same character
Yes.
is going to stay, or
Now,
the story will stay the same.
Exactly. Now, what I wouldn't mind is, like, if there was, and there's less of what I'm about to say these days. This isn't done as much. But if Arrow, for example, had an HBO Max 2-hour movie, I would die to see that, because you have to condense all this into a movie, and you have like a $50 million budget to do it. Dude, that's, or they did Flash that way. I would love that.
Are you more of a fan of DC TV shows or DC movies? I'm a TV show fan. I don't really.
Flash, well, obviously, look, I think DC movies, I think a lot of people have some strong opinions about that, right? DC, and we'll reserve the judgment because there's a new regime. But I would say, just to answer your question, DC TV got a whole lot of things right. A whole lot of things. So, you know, I'm looking for, and there's a whole slate of things coming on DC TV. Now, I'm still looking forward to it. There's a Lantern television show coming. I'm a fan. So as much as I would love to put the ring on, I'm still a fan. And whoever wears it, I'm gonna watch it.
Why isn't it you? Wait.
I don't know. But you know, but I'm also of the idea that any time a genre, if it's a horror genre, I do a horror movie. If it's good for all horror movies. If any good superhero movie is good for all superhero movies, right? So every time, so now people, for example, are questioning, there's been some things in Marvel, and they're like, oh, the Marvel stuff, oh. Because if one Marvel thing isn't good, it's not good for any Marvel movies. And if there's a good Marvel movie, it's good for all Marvel movies. So it's just the way it works, right? So I want, as much as I want to play Green Lantern, if I'm not, I want it to be good, no matter who's doing it, because it's good for all DC
Like Marvel uses a
superheroes.
lot of comics and comedy in their movies.
Marvel?
I think that's what really sells the point for me is that their comedy. DC seems to be really dark as well.
Yeah, in general,
Like
yeah.
Arrow style. I mean, I love Arrow, but that's a lot.
Yeah, I think there's been some attempt to kind of make things a little more humorous. We'll see, man. I don't. It's tough. I enjoy She-Hulk,
I do too.
right? And there are a lot of people who are like, the comedy, the funny, but I enjoy it. So it's tough. Same thing with the Marvels. The Marvels, people kind of pan the Marvels. I enjoy the Marvels, right? So.
I enjoyed most of it. I mean, I would change parts of the script, but that's just a whole other thing. But yeah, in general.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Talking about the Flash, I enjoyed it. You know, look, people had a problem with Ezra, obviously. Acting, I think he was off the charts in the movie. I thought he was, first of all, it was hard doing, right? And I think it was incredible. The last scene with the mom, I thought was incredible. So, but everyone has to look. If Batgirl they didn't even release, so some of this stuff is way above, like we see things as like why didn't, and there's so many things going on behind the scenes you can never possibly imagine.
That's just what they give it credit. Background, I thought it was good. I think they did a lot of work into making those storylines.
Yeah.
And they just did themselves.
Well, honestly, the thing I miss most about Batgirl, and shout out to everyone that worked on it, and I wish we all could have seen it. I want to see Michael Keaton. I'm a Keaton fan, right? So, but again, man, some of this stuff we'll never know what's happening behind the scenes because there's so much money involved. And when there's money, there's politics.
That is for sure.
Yeah. Great questions, though. I feel like I've just been talking a lot. Am I talking a lot? Yeah, all right. Good.
That's why we're here. It's your
Yeah.
panel.
Right.
So you can tell us all the stories.
All the stories, yeah.
What's your favorite
Want some more
story
secrets?
right
Want some more
now?
secrets?
More secrets, yes.
Yes, sir.
Did you read comics?
I did a lot.
What'd you read?
Well, it's going to sound cliche, but I was a huge Hulk and X-Men fan. And, it was all things X-Men. I really want to see the whole Hellfire Club seduction of Dark Phoenix story told well. Anyway, but yes, that was kind of my world. Fantastic Four. Reed Richards was my favorite character.
Who should be Reed Richards? In your perfect world.
I think Kaczynski did a great job.
Yeah.
I looked at Kaczynski and I was like, I felt like that was Reed Richards when I saw him.
Jim who?
No, but there's now talks of the very good actor from The Last of Us. His name's Mr. Pascal. Playing Reed Richards. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Did they say it's happening? There's been some debate or question. I think that's great. All I can say is that when I saw Christy play Reed, I was like, that looked like Reed Richards to me. And not that is the criteria for anyone playing Reed Richards. Let me just say that for the record. But it felt right. He had this presence, right? In the short time that we saw him, he had this presence, and it felt like that could be one of the smartest men in the world. And do I believe that Pascal can do it? 1,000%. But when I saw it before, first of all, I think they did the whole. I had some opinions about how many times does Patrick Stewart's Xavier have to die?
I didn't understand that part, but I mean, I didn't understand that whole part of it. Well, I just feel like that.
But just how many times? I know we got to wrap it up, but just how many times does it have? I just got a problem with how they're doing Charles Xavier, just over and over and over again. I mean, as much as you like Wanda, she can't break Charles's neck, bro.
She did.
She did.
But did she? I don't even know. That was probably a whole
Look.
multiverse
When Dark
line.
Phoenix killed him, I was like, okay, that makes sense. But I mean, he's died
I
in
think Loki
rage.
changed everything, so who knows what's going to happen now, right? Did you watch Loki? Have you? No.
I haven't watched the new season.
Oops. This is where we wrap it up.
What?
That's like this.
Wait, did Loki change it?
No. You heard nothing or saw nothing from me. I mean, he could have, or he could not have. Bad or good. He's the God of history. I thought we were all on the same page
I
here,
don't like this
people.
What major comic book character has stayed dead?
What major comic book character has stayed dead? What major comic book character has stayed dead?
Is this a trivia question for a prize?
No, they don't.
They don't.
Oh,
It's a trick question.
Oh, I was actually thinking, but.
No.
Okay. No one stays dead.
I mean, like, not reinvent, like,
Oh, that's right. You know something? There are characters that have to die, otherwise you don't go any further, like Ben. Ben has to die. The Waynes have to die. Right? Otherwise you have a story.
Gotta have those canon events.
Yeah, can have those.
Like this was. Thank you, everyone.
Guys, thank you.
Yay.
Thank you very much.
Once I got alpha, I couldn't get it again, so I just like it's over.
And it would have been funny. It's great. Easy. Thanks, brother. See you out there.
Loki went and bought a farm in Minnesota and raised a dairy cow. That's how it went.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dairy cow.
Dairy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm bailing her out.
Are you all right?